football fan. What happens if I jam up and I've got nothing to say?
That's the best bit about it.
I'm going to sit
Talk
here
about
and
football for an hour, are we? Jesus Christ.
I'm going to sit here and learn about it.
Honestly, I can't be arsed with football anymore.
Really?
What, truly?
Yeah. I'll still go and watch Sunderland and that, but like I don't watch the Premier League anymore.
Yeah.
If I watch Match of the Day, I'll watch it on fast forward. Football is just getting worse and worse. There's absolutely, it's completely money driven. Mm-hmm. There's no ethics there whatsoever. If you're going to have a World Cup in Qatar and then have one in Saudi Arabia and things finished, it's just about money.
But do you think all sports are going that way? Because golf's going that way as well. And I know
Golf's
Formula
going that
One's kind of, it's adjacent, isn't it?
Formula One already is sort of like that.
Aye.
My favourite sport now is darts.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I watched that, what's it called? The King of the Throws. What's it called? The documentary? It was a 3-part documentary.
Was it the
Game of Throws?
Game of Throws.
Game of Throws. It's a cracking title, Game of Throws, but I loved it. Honestly, loved it.
I've just noticed you've done a very good job there coming straight off footballing.
Is this no intent? Yeah, this is it.
Is this the thing?
We like that. This is it. This is how professional we get.
It's the swearing policy, by the way.
I'll bleep it out, don't worry.
Okay.
What's the deal? First 7 minutes?
Usually first 7 minutes, I think, on YouTube, because they flag it up anyway.
Oh, got you. Right.
The thing is, we've had all
Should have a
sorts of...
clock on the wall.
No, we've had...
I'll bring the jar and you can put it 10 minutes.
Well, we got Si King to drop the F-bomb on the first one. I was like, Si, you've just dropped the F-bomb. He's like, oh, sorry, so it was... the first one. We'll just go through the beep, 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 beep. But yeah, I've had to bleep it out, but it keeps it in, man. It's fun. We'll just put a bleep over the top, man.
Aye, well, get back to football. Like Newcastle, I've got no time for. It's problematic because I'm a Sunderland fan, so but even if I wasn't, it would still be the same. Manchester City have got 130 charges against them for financial wrongdoing, and they've hoovered up a load of trophies in the last decade as a result of cooping the books and everything. And
right.
Cheating is just endemic in football now. I mean, did you see the match the other night against Preston? When it was 80 minutes.
They
just kept sitting down.
They kept on sitting down.
What?
So the Sunderland players were trying to take the Preston players off the pitch because they were trying to waste time.
Right.
So the players were dropping on the ground. Then one player tried to kind of create an alternative route to come off the pitch so as to kind of take more time.
They had
the
12
Sunderland
players on the pitch at one point.
12 players on the pitch. Sunderland fans were pushing the player off the pitch. They got him off. Then another one of the players just sat on the ground and was like,
on my leg.
It's awful. That's what I've got to admit, right, for me, as a Sunderland fan, I enjoyed League One. I mean, it was a bleak period. But you know what I mean? Like, there was something about that degree of separation between the Premier League and actually just going to watch football matches again.
So it's just about football.
It was just about
football.
I like the level we're at now. I don't want us to go up. Another thing I kind of stand about football is VAR.
Yeah.
I kind of stand this thing where a team scores a goal and then everyone sits around for 2 minutes or 3 minutes to see if it was a goal or not.
Do you know what it is though, Andy? Do you not find going back to I don't know how long you've been going to watch football, but going back to Roker Park, to me, part of a match day experience was the debate about whether the referee got a decision right or wrong.
It is part of the game.
And sanitising it in a way that it's just, it's Americanised the game, hasn't it? And it
totally
slows it down. It's just awful. And it hasn't fixed anything.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So what's the extra time add on then? There must be like 10 minutes now.
Oh, they do add it on now. And it actually came back to bite them the other night, didn't it? Because we equalised. Right? But they wasted... I mean, I've seen matches recently where some of them have been playing an extra 10, 15 minutes.
9 minutes the other night.
9 minutes the other night.
But that was a good 5 minutes. I looked at the clock when they started dicking about and it was 5 minutes before play got underway again. But... I mean, we equalised pretty quickly, but then we were never going to score again after that. We
could have been playing all night.
We never looked anywhere close. But I like VAR. I don't want us to be in the Premier League. I don't want to sit through that every week.
Yeah.
But getting back to the cheating thing, cheating's just endemic in the game now, and that's what we saw the other night. Players just feign injury constantly. The other sport I'm really into now, I've got back into snooker again, which I was into when I was a kid.
Watching snooker again as well.
And I was watching a match a few weeks ago. Stephen Maguire was playing, and what generally happens in snooker is players will call fouls on themselves if they know they've glanced
integrity
a ball. They'll call it, and even if the referee. Stephen Maguire was taking a shot over the pack of reds to hit the cue ball, and he touched one of the reds with his cue, called a foul on himself, and showed the replay. You couldn't see it.
Yeah.
The referee didn't see it.
But he
you couldn't see it on the camera.
Yeah.
It was so slight. But he called a foul on himself, and it's that thing. It's integrity.
Yeah,
completely.
Do you ever play snooker?
Can I play snooker?
Yeah, do you play?
No, not on a big table. I haven't played for years.
I go with my son. My son plays pool, right? And I'm terrible at pool. And I think I've probably hit a snooker ball well about 4 times in my entire life. So we'll go to there's a place in town, and he started to kind of level up from pool. I'll play snooker
Right.
on the table for about 5 hours. One game.
Right.
Honestly,
But it's just
Yeah.
not-
when I close it,
The table's vast, isn't it?
But you used to be playing pool in pubs, but every pub used to have a pool table. Can you remember that? I mean, everyone, like Shiny College down the end, there was a pool table. There was one up at Tunstall.
do you remember snooker holes? I mean, snooker holes are proper throwbacks.
But there was one at Horton we used to go down.
They're
We all
massive.
used to have like a Riley like snooker queue where you just go down the pool hall and
Yeah.
knock a few balls around. But
I love going to watch it live as well, just because it's just the atmosphere is incredible. Like I've been to the Worlds at Sheffield before at the Crucible, and you can almost cut the silence with a knife, the tension,
Yeah.
but it's exciting as well. There's that blend of tension and excitement together. It's great.
whereas darts, it's kind of
Chaos.
It's a party, isn't
Big
it?
party.
It's a massive
Yeah.
party.
I go to the darts, but I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoy watching the snooker because of that whole thing of the crowds kind of starting to get a bit out of control now.
Yeah.
But if you encourage that atmosphere, then that's what you're going
And
to get.
snooker, I bet you can drop a pin and watch the snooker, can you?
It's a complete opposite, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get lots of people now getting the darts starting whistling at the players to try and put them off.
Aye.
And they should be just executed on the spot for that thing. Call that controversial, but I do a darts podcast with my son because he's massively into it as well.
Is that a recent one? I think you've been doing that for a while.
About a year I've been doing it now, called Unserious Darts, because
Yeah.
we don't think darts is a serious sport.
Yeah.
Darts is hilarious. And in like episode 4 or something, my son proposed that, my 16-year-old son proposed that whistlers should be executed at the side of the stage. And that week we'd had an email from Winmore, who the darts equipment makers, producers, and they'd said, "Oh, we've seen that you're doing a podcast. That's great. Maybe we could look into some kind of tie-up." And I thought, oh, they might want to sponsor us or provide prizes or something like that
Yeah.
for competitions. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. What have you got in mind? And then the day after, the execution episode went out, and they never got back to us. Didn't hear
Yeah.
anything. I said, I don't think that was the tone of content that they were kind of wanting to be associated with.
Right, but that's not the tone anybody wants to be associated with. But it's the tone that you want to have on a podcast. You know what I mean? Because
exactly
that's what people want to hear. That's
Yeah.
what people want to listen to.
Yeah, yeah,
They just want
absolutely.
to have a conversation in the room
yeah.
about now. That's that's the entertainment value.
Which we can kind of cover in this.
I bet you know
I think.
better than us. You've run
know.
podcasts for a long time. haven't you?
Podcast
It's-
king.
Exactly.
That's the thing. We're like sitting there just
We're
winging
sitting
this
here.
thing. And,
Completely
we're sitting here
novices.
we're sitting here professional. Like, do you know what I mean?
Have we started it? Is this the thing?
Oh yeah,
course,
we're in.
Oh, we're on,
We're
are
in.
we?
We're in,
Of course,
man.
yeah. We've been going since you walked in the door.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
yeah.
That's why we
God.
get. That's why we get the signature and all that on the wall.
Aye.
Try and keep it
Okay.
all
'Cause
like.
that's the soft start to the pod, and then
Right.
the titles and the music go over the
Oh,
top of
there's
that.
no like introduction or anything like that.
No,
I
this
don't
is it,
come
man.
on from the side
Which
and
is
then
a conscious
you
decision.
You can go back and come in if
Right.
you want. We can,
Is there any music?
Applaud you coming
there's
in.
music.
music
Ah,
in-
yeah,
there's introduction music.
music intro, and
You
all
like
that
the
stuff.
title?
Yeah.
Raji Gaji
Raji
is the
Gaji is
intro
the
music.
soundtrack. It was written by Dan. Tim's brother Dan.
right.
So yeah, we'll keep it in the family.
Because when I saw the sofa setup and everything, I thought we've got some kind of like chat show thing going on here.
No,
Nah,
the
it's
thing
like-
is, we're mused over that though, didn't we, for weeks, thinking, how do we want to do it? Do we want a hard start where we introduce the guests? And a couple of people have mentioned that actually, because people that listen to it versus watching it, we wanted the feel of people dropping into a conversation that was
Yeah.
already happening.
Yeah.
You just
That makes
coming down
sense.
to see
It
us.
does a bit, it
and
does
we're just
a
having
bit.
a crack in the room.
Yeah.
You know?
Are we at the 7-minute point yet where I can swear?
I can keep swearing.
Aye,
No,
just do-
you
aye, go
swore
for it.
from minute
11.
1, so you're
11?
all right.
Hell.
There you are.
You said I've only got an hour, so I was like, bang.
Let's keep it consistent. Do one every minute, right? You know, you're all right. I think it's keep going. But,
So, yeah, Darts podcast we do. So I'm on 3 podcasts now. It's
So you're still
an
doing
industry.
mints? You still got
still
that?
doing Mince.
Yeah.
We do like 1 episode a month now. Just kind of because couple of things really. Because Bob's just busy doing so many other things.
Yeah.
Fishing, writing books, and all that. Being a national treasure.
Yeah.
Just it's hard work, you know. Going on Would I Lie to You once a year.
But then everybody watching these clips every night on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
we watched one the other day, didn't
Who
we?
else? Yeah.
It's mad because there's loads of people who love him from that, and I don't think they even know a great deal about the other stuff that he's
Yeah.
done, whether that's Mince or whether that's even going back to Vic and Bob.
Yeah.
The stuff that
I
they
think
did.
that's probably right. Yeah.
I think there's a rump of people who just see him going on Would I Lie to You being brilliant, talking about cracking an egg in Chris Rea's bath and stuff like that, and then that's kind of all they know him
Yeah.
at, and the fishing,
Yeah.
obviously. So national
Cracking
treasure
show,
because of
though.
that.
Cracking show. It's
Which
kinda
one?
like
The fishing?
The fishing. I've gone fishing.
Yeah,
It's kind
it
of.
is.
I think it's brought joy to the nation.
Yeah.
On a Sunday
Yeah.
night, and we just want to sit and watch it. And I don't think that the BBC understood what they were doing and what they had until everybody started liking it. And I think it's the
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
who kind of kept it going.
Yeah, yeah.
And we honestly, it's one of the best things.
Yeah.
It just brings joy to,
It's not.
to,
It's,
to the
it's
home,
not the kind of thing I don't think the BBC would commission.
No.
Other broadcasters have commissioned very similar things
Yeah.
in the wake of it because
Yeah.
they've tried to recapture that formula.
Yeah,
can it?
yeah.
But basically, Bob and Paul just went to the BBC and said, "We've got this idea; it might work. Would like to just go out and fish and talk."
Yeah.
And the scenery. Bob always says like the scenery is the star of the show.
Yeah.
Some of that footage is just so gorgeous.
It
The
is.
drone footage of the countryside and all that. It's so gorgeous. But yeah, it is. It's perfect. Sunday night telly. It's soothing telly.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on in the world, people can watch that and
cuts through
just
everything
check out
completely.
from all
Yeah.
of the shit that's going on.
Oh,
The
yeah,
swear
yeah.
word there.
Yeah.
I think
One
we're
a minute.
14
One a
minutes
minute.
now.
That's it.
Well, we started because with all of this, we started like a web series as well, and it was kind of heavily influenced. It was like half board day and half gone fishing. We wanted to just do that,
Yeah.
and it's called Out and About. So we just go out and about with the guests that we get on. But that's the whole point and premise is just to do that.
Yeah.
And it's me asking questions, Chris talking to the camera, then we're doing a thing. But it's just 23 minutes later, we've got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
really
Good
nice
fun. It's got a nice
episode, and it is
feel.
like a TV episode as well. But that's coming soon, so
Right.
we're just trying to figure out how to put it out there. You know,
I've got a concept for a show with Sam who I do Top Flight Time Machine with, where we will go to a location, a chosen location, but we do not stray 100 metres from that spot.
Yeah.
So we just go 100 metres in any direction and see what's going on and see if we can get a show
Good
out of
idea.
it. So we might do that at some
limitations
point.
are good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Limitations are great
Yeah.
for stuff like
Rather than going out in the countryside and going wherever the river is and
Yeah.
wherever the fish are, you stick a pin in a map
Yeah.
and then go 100 metres in any direction, see what's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
There might be note. You don't know.
I love that, but I mean, our thing was the same, but it's like whatever that person does, we're just
Yeah.
gonna do what you
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
It's
just-
like see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. But it's lovely though. It's kind of, it's just got, we had a song written and all this kind of stuff. So this whole thing's just come together organically, even though
I guess as well, we can't be formulaic because everybody who's on the podcast are completely different.
Oh yeah.
So like we can't just. I mean, like the stuff we did the last time with John, we're dropping into Newburn in the woods and doing bushcraft and cooking. It's not going to be the same with somebody else, is it? It's always going to be different
Completely
in
different.
terms of the content.
But yeah, but it's just been fun. We're just loving this from the off, you know.
But it's funny though. I have to bring this up because Athletico Mince, it's relevant because we only had, was it 2 weeks ago? We had, or a little while ago, we had Simon on from Weird Ale Cheese.
Yes.
And it was Simon
He
who
mentioned.
first sent me the very first link
Right,
to listen
yeah.
to your podcast.
Right.
And I'm trying to remember the episode now, but I was buckled over. It was you'll probably remember the title, but it was for the England team with Harry Kane.
Could have been a number of
Oh, mate.
episodes because they've done a few
Well-
bits. Fairly early on, I reckon, probably in the first
I think it was
20
early. It
episodes or
was.
so.
It was
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Never went back since.
Because there was a DJ, you know, when we kind of accosted you in the middle of Sunnyside
Yeah.
when
Oh,
you're
Jimmy.
eating, where you're eating some food. Was it Jimmy?
We did a costume, man. I've got to apologise
Did
for
it
that.
kind of because I
It's
saw
alright.
you from afar and I was like, "Is that?" You know, because obviously I recognise you because I used to knock around with your brother Neil when at Shiny Raw, drinking cider down the field and that. And we kind of
Blastaways.
Just cider?
That's Blastaways again.
We were talking about Blastaway the other day. You know, Diamond White and Castaway and all that kind of stuff. Scrumpy Jack, because Neil used to love a bottle of Scrumpy Jack. Talking about Sambas and Gazelles and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because on there, that's what Sam Fenner's wearing. He's wearing a pair of.
right.
So yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. Do you remember what was it talking about?
Say it.
Jimmy the
No, I'm
DJ.
just joking, man. Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy the DJ. Yeah, he came over and he mentioned your podcast, Athletico Mince, and it's kind of everywhere you go, you must get that. Do people lean into you, like on the train and go, "I love that." Do they stop you all
If
the
I'm
time?
at gigs and things like that, because generally the kind of gigs I'll go to will be populated by the kind of people who listen to Athletico Mince,
Yeah.
so people
Yeah.
come up and sit, and it's always lovely. People are always
Is it
so
quite surprising?
happy and
though?
nice about it.
Is it quite surprising, Andy? Do you get accept that? Because you know, obviously, Bob's out and about and he's been on our telly. You probably watch him as a student. Do you know what I mean? Like we did.
Well,
We
I
were
mean,
watching,
yeah,
like,
I'll
Vic and
talk
Bob's
about that in
Night
a
Out.
bit because like Vic and Bob were one of the two main influences that got us into becoming a writer when I started out like 30 years ago. But before I get to that, yeah, it's always lovely. People are always like generous and kind and nice. But we've been doing it for 9 years now, so I'm kind of used to it a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you kind of notice when people are looking but don't come and say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone does like a double take in the supermarket or something like that, I kind of home in on that. But No, it's great. It's great. Like it's great to be involved in something that so many people love so much.
Yeah.
You know, I'm dead lucky to be doing it as.
So
as
go
a-
back
as
to
a
where it
job
started,
sort of
Andy.
thing.
So you just said that's what it influenced you to start
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah.
So where did that begin?
Sorry, I just want to start. Sorry, just back
to the
just
cider.
about your brother because about
Yeah.
the cider. No, because I'm knocking around with your brother Neil and like, now we're kind of going to our Andrew's in. That's only time. That's how I
Really?
knew you. We
Right.
couldn't go to the house because you were in.
Right.
But you were always like flitting in and out. So were you like? Was it journalism that you were into at the time? Was it uni? Was that stage?
I went to uni. I went to Sunderland Polytechnic as it was then for a year, and I got asked to leave because I didn't go to any of the lectures. But these were the days when you got a grant and they paid you to go to uni.
Yeah.
Oh, mad. And I did the year, and they said you can do the second year, or you can do your first year again without a grant this time, or you can just go away. So I went away. I wasn't that into it anyway. So I did that for a year. Then I worked in Our Price record shop for about 5 years.
Remember
That's
that?
a-
I
that's a-
didn't
yeah,
work
I forgot about
experience in
that.
our price.
Right.
Aye.
Yeah.
Which branch was it?
It was a Sunderland one.
Sunderland one.
Aye.
I used to work in the Washington one. So worked there for 5 years, but I'd always wanted to be a writer of some kind. When I was at school, I wanted to be a journalist. My dream would have been to write the Sunderland Echo.
Yeah.
And then to get your journalism qualifications, you had to go to a college in Darlington. And at age 16, there'd be absolutely nowhere to get to Darlington and back every day. To commute was just an absolute non-starter. So that kind of kiboshed that a bit. Me and my mate at college, we started doing our own comedy fanzine. We did a couple of issues of that. Then I started working at Our Price. Then I started doing a fanzine again myself around about 93, 94, which was called The Profanity Swan, which is what me ID is on social media, and that doesn't mean anything. It's just two random words. Started doing this fanzine called The Profanity Swan, but two of my biggest influences were Viz, because Viz were making brilliant, funny magazines, but up here in the northeast, and it kind of gave me that opened that door and says you don't have to have gone to Oxbridge or whatever to be able to do comedy.
Oh, say it northeast on northeast terms. That's what was really exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. And the comedy scene was kind of full of Oxbridge types back then. Some great, some not. I was hugely into Fry and Laurie. I loved Fry and Laurie, who of course went to Cambridge. But Viz kind of showed you don't have to be from that kind of background to get into comedy. You can do it on your own terms. So I started doing my own kind of fanzine. And the other ones were Vic and Bob, similar, because they had northeast accents.
Yeah.
And again, it was that thing of you don't have to have the plummy Oxbridge tones of someone like Fry and Laurie. You can be northern, you can be from the northeast, and you can get somewhere, you can make it. So they were like massive influences. So I did a few episodes. No, I keep saying episodes because podcasts, constant podcasts, every freaking day. I did a few issues of this fanzine, which was just comedy stuff, kind of a bit like Viz in some ways, but not. Called The Profanity Swan, and I sent it off to the music magazines, the NME, Melody Maker, Sounds, because they occasionally did reviews of fanzines, and they'd put the contact address in, and people would order these fanzines, mostly music fanzines, to be honest. But this was a bit different, and didn't get any reviews. And then about 6 months later, I thought, I'll send the next issue out. And if it just doesn't get anywhere, I'm done with it, because it's obviously not meant to be. Sent the issues out, and I got a letter from a guy at the NME called Johnny Cigarettes, not his real name. And he was editing a page at the back of the NME every week called Thrills, which was just made up news stories and spoof stories and funny stuff. And he wrote us a letter. He says, I love the fanzine. I edit this Thrills page. Would you be interested in contributing ideas, features, whatever to it? Give us a ring, if so. And I still remember to this day shaking like a leaf as I rang the NME. I'm age 23 at this point, you know. I'm not.
And how long have
some
you been
kid.
going for, do you think? You've been doing fanzines and...
The NME was the first paid work that I got. That was 1995, so that's 30 years ago this year. Wow. So, and I was doing the fanzines a couple of years before that. But just remember just completely bricking it, just ringing them up and saying, yeah, yes, please, kind of thing. And I started sending stuff in, and they would use stuff that I'd sent in like every week. So it was bringing money in. And then I decided to pack in the hour price job and dedicate myself to the writing full time about a year later. And since then, it's just been a case of just kind of jumping from job to job, just trying to keep earning a living going, freelancing all the way. I did stuff for the lads magazines when they were quite big, like Loaded, Front Magazine, FHM, stuff like that. And it was always comedy stuff. It was always funny stuff. I didn't do a lot of feature writing, straight kind of.
Did you always
journalism.
gravitate towards comedy as well, though, Andy? Was that your
always
kind of...
loved comedy since I was a kid, and I think there was always a little element of being a performer, because I remember in infant school, the teacher was reading the class a story about this giant bear or something, and I did this Magnus Pike impersonation. Don't know if you remember Magnus Pike. If you're old enough to remember Magnus Pike, it was the scientist who used to wave his arms around on telly and that. And I did that, and everybody laughed. And I thought, this is good. But then I never had any desires to do any performing until I started doing Mince with Bob, and we ended up gravitating towards. It started out as us just talking about football, just sitting down talking about football.
How did that connection happen with Bob then? Like,
how did
what was
you
the kind
meet?
of, how did it...
Through Twitter.
Really?
How was it?
Yeah, through Twitter. He'd appeared on Twitter, and I followed him. Obviously, Bob Mortimer. And then a few weeks later, he followed us back, and I thought, this is great. I'm followed by Bob Mortimer on Twitter. I must be doing something right. Because I kind of used Twitter a lot career-wise.
Yeah.
Because I just went on there and tried to be funny.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got us followers, people who worked in the media, and then I could use that as an introduction and just cold call people and say, I'm a writer, I do comedy. Can I do is anything you need that I can do, or anything I can pitch to you? So Twitter was like a really good shop window for writing work back then, sort of about 2009 onwards, as opposed to the absolute Nazi hell site that it's turned into.
In recent years. What, 150 characters or something? So it's quite...
140 originally.
Quite a pressure on putting something good and concise and funny in that.
Yeah.
So what were you putting up? What kind of things were you putting up?
It would be stuff like when the X Factor was on a Saturday night, I would live tweet that, because loads of people would live tweet along with X Factor and The Apprentice. And sort of appointment telly like that. Everybody would be kind of second screening. They'd be watching on the telly but scrolling their phone, laughing at the funny people who were getting retweeted.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting work doing stuff like live tweeting and live blogging TV shows for the Daily Mirror, for their website.
Yeah.
So I ended up running the Sunday People newspaper's Twitter account for a while as well.
Yeah.
So that was quite a fertile period for work. But we're dancing about all over the timeline here. What we're talking about? The Enemy, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Lads Mags. And then I've written a couple of books. You know the monkey from the PG Tips advert?
Oh, yeah.
With Johnny Vegas.
Yeah.
Get this, right? I'm glad you're sitting down. I ghost wrote Monkey's autobiography.
No, you did.
Really?
Certainly did.
Wow.
Yeah, big time. Out of all the things I've done over the years, I know we're all impressed by Athletico Mince and Bob Mortimer and all that, but ghost wrote the Monkey's biography.
So
You'll see copies in charity shops now and again.
So, but that relationship between you and Bob, you sent him on Twitter, and then what happened? How did you get together? How did
back
that
to
thing? How did that glue stick?
So, we're following each other on Twitter. One day in 2012, I think it might have been 2013, I'd been at Aldi and I'd bought a plastic greenhouse in the middle aisle, which was not just in the middle aisle, it was also reduced. So that gives you a level of the quality that we're talking about. And it was about 25 quid, portable plastic greenhouse. And I posted a picture of it and tweeted about how proud I was of this great purchase, this great bargain that I'd acquired. And all of a sudden in the replies, there's Bob Mortimer saying, what a load of shit that is. You must be a fucking idiot. That's going to blow away in the first breeze. What were you thinking?
That's perfect.
And I thought, this is good. This is a development. I like this. And I thought, how can I respond to this? I just gave him some abuse back. I can't remember what I said, but it basically we just developed that kind of online relationship with each other where we would just abuse each other. And it came from that. And then he sent us a message one day and he said that him and Jim were recording the sitcom they did, House of Fools,
Yeah.
down in London. He says, do you want to come along to watch a recording and we'll maybe go for a pint or two afterwards? Yeah, all right, I'll do that. Went down, went to the pub, had about 4 or 5 pints, got on really well. And I think the idea of doing a podcast was discussed that night when we were talking, because he was asking us a lot about the kind of work that I'd done. And we kind of got talking about ideas and things for TV and stuff. So we didn't end up doing the podcast for another 18 months or something after that, or 2 years maybe. But we did work on a couple of other TV ideas that we pitched. One was BBC Two, one was Channel 4. Didn't get anywhere, but it was just nice to be able to do something like that
and work together on something.
Work with like someone who's...
Well, that's how you develop your relationship as well, isn't it? Because you'd be back and forth all the time with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But was that quite surreal? You're sitting in a pub talking to Bob Mortimer
Yeah.
about working on something to pitch, and you used to watch him on the TV
Yeah.
when you were 19.
Yeah, it's mad.
Nuts, isn't
It's
it?
really mad.
Yeah, from Shiny Row. But the thing is, you saw him as an opportunity to go, look, someone like me from this place, that is possible.
Yeah.
But it seems so bloody far away, man. Do you know what I mean?
But the thing about Bob is, though, and he's done this throughout his career, and Jim has as well, they've both looked to bring new talent in to what they do. And I think the fact that I was from the Northeast, and we had a connection of both being football fans as well. We talked quite a bit about football, hence the football podcast. There isn't a football podcast anymore. But I think that thing of me being from the Northeast and being working class kind of thing, it's where he came from. So he was... I think there's a keenness from him to want to pay that back a little bit and try and find someone else or other people.
Yeah.
He used to go up to the Edinburgh Festival a few years ago, and he used to go to the Free Fringe, which is all of the kind of the fringe of the fringe almost, to kind of scout for new comedians and talent and that they could put into their shows.
Yeah.
And there was 1 or 2 that got used in House of Fools because of that. So that's something that is, I mean, that's hugely admirable that he would do that. It's not becoming famous and then pulling the ladder up sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's that keenness to find new people in the same way that get that bit of luck that him and Jim got and then use that, for good.
Did you ever feel like any, because I'm kind of thinking how I would feel in that situation, did you ever feel any like imposter syndrome when you first sat with them, or were you kind of instantly comfortable, do you think?
No, I listened back recently to the first ever episode we did, and I was all right.
Yeah.
I thought, is this going to be really embarrassing? But I thought, no, you're all right. But I had spent time with him by that point, and we did have a rapport going. We knew that it would be good.
Yeah, because you've done the Twitter thing before you met, and then you've worked with them before the podcast.
Yeah, we worked on another thing. The other main thing we worked on, it didn't get anywhere. I did a Twitter account that went in about 2014 called Get in the Sea, and it was just basically abuse hurled at terrible people in the public eye. A lot of anti-hipster stuff.
Now, would you?
Oh, you wouldn't know where to start. The thing is that you couldn't,
image of our time.
you couldn't do it now.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it now because
Like
there'd be
the
so many
Yeah.
dickheads would get on your case
Yeah.
and turn it into a pylon and all this, and it would become like adversarial in the way that it wasn't then. So that went big, and I wrote a book on the back of that, which was basically just listing all of the terrible things in the world, including the top 50 worst people in the world.
Who's number one?
David Cameron was number 1 at the time.
Who's going to be number 1?
I was going to say, do you think he'd rank as number
I
1
think
now?
Trump was number 2 or number 3, so Trump would be up there at the top now, I think. Anyway, I wrote a book on that, and we went to Channel 4 and tried to adapt it into a panel show.
Yeah.
And we ended up doing a pilot, and not for broadcast pilot, in a dungeon in the Channel 4 headquarters with various people on the panel. And it didn't get picked up. And they were saying, we're not looking to do any more panel shows. 10 years later, they're still doing 8 out of 10 Casters Countdown, but that's fine. They just didn't fancy it at the time. That's all right. No problem. So yeah, we worked like closely together on that. So there wasn't that kind of feeling of intimidation or nerves or anything by the time I got around to doing the podcast. It was just, let's just sit down for half an hour and talk about football.
Yeah.
Aye.
I've got a big question though.
Oh.
What happened with that greenhouse? I mean, was it shit? Did it fall apart? Did it blow on your garden? Was it like Trigger's broom where you had to replace bits every year?
I shouldn't tell you because like probably before this goes out, I'm doing a one-off thing at Diego's in town, which is a kind of a celebration of Athletico Mince, where I talk about the podcast, how it came about.
When's that?
It's Friday the 21st.
Sold out.
Yeah. Yeah, I did it once 3 years ago, Pop Rex, and I'm doing it again next week.
You got two plastic chairs to sit at the back.
You're just looking through the window.
We're not
I was
using the
outside the window. It's got a seat outside Diego's.
And I was sitting in the greenhouse. And I was sitting in that greenhouse.
and it's fun, and it's fun. You will like it, and one day maybe when Mince is finished and everything, I'll maybe do more of them because we've got like studio footage of people I've never seen before and live show footage that people have never seen before.
Right,
so it's a nice excuse to come along and celebrate and enjoy and all of that. But I do finish it by talking about what happened to the greenhouse. I'm not going to tell you.
I don't think
I can't give that away.
We've never had a cliffhanger on the podcast so far.
Holy
I
shit,
can't give that away.
What's going on here? Howard?
Can
you do it when we turn the cameras
I'll
on?
tell you
Do
when
it.
we're
It's one of them secrets
I'll
that
tell
you're
you
going to
when
tell
we're
after.
not even in this room because I don't trust you to not turn the
Is this
cameras outside in the courtyard. I'll tell you.
Is this more secretive than the Epstein list?
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, even Tim's shaking his head.
Oh man,
Dear me.
Tim Epstein from down the road. The other one in the posh house.
Yeah.
The big windows.
Probably the same list. Aye. Tim Epstein doesn't exist, does he? We're not libeling anybody.
I don't know why you was Tim. Sorry, Tim. That wasn't a throw.
It's your second name, isn't it?
Epstein. His middle name.
Anyway, moving on.
I know. Moving on.
Was there any threads that I didn't tie up apart from the greenhouse?
No, because we were talking about Bob Mortimer and how you met, and then you building pilots and stuff like that. So are you still doing the journalism thing as well off the back of that? Did that just all stop because you were doing this other stuff?
That stopped just after Mince started. I said I was doing the Sunday People Twitter account, and then they decided they didn't want us to do that anymore. Fair enough. Budgets and that. And so since then, it's kind of just been podcasting, but I've got the two main podcasts, Top Flight Time Machines, the other one that I do with Sam Delaney, and we've managed to monetize them both to a level where it's kind of, that's the living that I make now.
Okay. Yeah.
And
how long's that took? A lot of crap.
It's a personal interest.
No, but genuinely, because I imagine, like, you know, you've got to have a lot of patience, put a lot of time in to build that audience. And
kind of hard to say. With Time Machine, lockdown was where we started doing like 5 episodes a week, which is what we do now. Yeah. Up from 2 or maybe 3 a week, because
audio or video as well.
It's just audio. We do live video streams for the subscribers, but to get back to how you monetize it, we've got obviously free to air episodes that have got adverts in, and we do sponsor reads now and again, like most podcasts do. And as most podcasts do now, there's a subscription thing on Patreon.
Yeah.
So for a few quid a month, we do bonus episodes. We do everything without the adverts in. So if people are annoyed by the adverts, they can go to the Patreon. So we do one of those on Mince and one of those on Time Machine as well. And that's the best thing about it all, is that you've got complete creative control. Yeah.
That's
There's
the key,
nobody
isn't it?
telling you what you can and can't talk about. You've got a direct link with your listeners stroke customers. So they're subscribing financially through Patreon, and they obviously get all of these benefits and bonuses. And there's no commissioning executive that's going to say, all right, we're cancelling this now. We don't want any more Athletico Mince. We don't want any more Top Flight Time Machine. That decision is ours and ours alone, as and when.
It's great to have that control and power, especially being in an industry like that, and your life can be rug pulled any moment.
And I've gone through 3 decades of that kind of happening. It always felt like, freelance-wise, you were in a jungle and you were just swinging from vine to vine, just trying to hang on and not fall down into the jungle where all the snakes and the lions and all that were.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to be able to keep finding new streams of income, if you want to call them that. And then it's led to doing the podcast, which is completely creative control and, you know, on our own terms,
fully independent,
and it makes a decent living out of it. So it's like winning the lottery, but in job terms.
Yeah.
Plus, and then I get to work with 2 incredibly funny people who I've known for a long time, and it's just a joy to just work with them. And my son in the Darts podcast that we do as well.
It's quite good, that though.
He's
doing
quite
something
funny.
with your son. It's you know.
Yeah.
What's that like though? Kind of.
It's
Did you ever see that happening? You know, as a little kid from me, like 11 to 16. What's that leap? I'm only asking because my son's 12 and I can't see that happening at 16.
we used to do one when he was about 9 or 10, and it was called Beans on Toast, and it was just he came up with a
My
name.
hairstyle, I was
Still
talking
don't know
about
what it means. So we did that, and we did about 100 episodes of that, and it was just me and him just talking, and I kind of wanted to do it. I think I suggested it, but he saw that was my job, and he kind of was interested and intrigued. And I says, well, let's me and you do a podcast, and it was mostly so that I would have an audio record of him as he was growing up,
That's
so
nice.
that I could then listen back to that when he's older.
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to episode 1, he's got a really squeaky high voice, and then by the time episode 120 is the last one, his voice is broke. So it's like this, goes on this journey of voice deepening.
Yeah. Should do an AI, just start a conversation and get them all. Fantastic.
So we did that, and then it kind of fell away. I think he got through to that mid-teens kind of thing where it became a bit embarrassing for him, or he might have been getting a little bit of stick from mates at school and all that kind of thing. Became quite self-conscious about it, but then came through that, and then we started doing. We both love the darts massively. I got him into darts when he was about 7, because I could see that he was starting to get into wrestling, WWE, and I thought, I'm not fucking having that. I'm not spending the next 10 years in arenas watching lycra-clad fellas banging each other around the ring. It's hugely scripted
So
bullshit.
wrestling's not for you, Andy.
So no, wrestling is very much not
It's
for
not
me.
back in the day of Big Daddy and giant hair
nah,
straps, is it?
that might be all
What a
right.
Saturday afternoon that was, eh?
Saturday afternoon.
That might be all right, but no. So I thought I've got to do something here. So I got him into the darts, and it worked. And we've been into it for like 10 years or so. And we just started. We said, let's start a darts podcast. There's no real great darts podcasts out there. So the ones that are, take it seriously.
Yeah.
And darts it's got so much humour in it that it's not to be taken seriously. So we called the podcast Unserious Darts, and that's it. We just sit and talk. And each episode's like 20, 25 minutes once a week.
Yeah.
And it's followed the blueprint of Mince and Time Machine, in as much as we go off piste really easily.
Yeah.
And don't always completely stick to the subject matter. And I think that's the best way to do things like that.
Yeah.
Not everyone can do that, but I think that if you can, don't stick to the subject matter. If there's other things to talk about.
We've not been able to.
I don't know what the subject matter is here, but
We'll get there. We'll get there.
yeah.
We'll figure it out along the way. I don't know what time we're at, because I know we've got to get Andy out the door at a certain point. How long have we been, Tim? 40.
Oh, another 20 minutes.
Well, we've got this menu, and we like to talk about food, which I know everybody loves. So let's jump into this.
Yeah.
Wanna jump into
Yeah,
this,
I'll
and
jump
then
straight
we'll do
into
some other little food-based questions.
Okay.
Ding. So, Andy, we picked 2, and then you have to ask the Greg's order. So anything from these lists,
Right.
just say just something on
Right.
Hey, might
something
get
on
beyond 2 actually today.
Might
So
get
20 minutes.
Well, it always elaborates, doesn't it? So,
Starters.
aye, so anything
Anything
you
you
don't
want.
have to start with the starters, but you can if you want.
We'll go in order, I think. It says top 3.
Oh, well, this is all. This originally was a top 3 chocolate bar question.
But then I went to top 3 crisps because we talked about Tudor.
Aye,
Right.
So it could go
Interpret,
into
yeah.
anything kind of. What should we do?
I think we should do crisps.
I
Crisp
think we should
flavours.
do crisp flavours. Aye, top 3 crisps. You're a crisp man.
I'm a crisp man, but you know what? This is
we
almost embarrassing, but I love ready salted.
Ready,
you?
You just
I love-
standard ready salted number one, aye.
I love ready salted. My favourite crisp is Seabrooks.
Yeah.
They're always stronger, aren't they? Seabrooks.
Yeah, Seabrooks are
They're
great.
always stronger.
They're always strong.
The flavours, I would say so. Maybe it's
I
the
like prawn
sort of
cocktail
the
ones,
waters.
like.
Yeah, I love a Seabrooks multi-pack with all the flavours in. Oh, bring it on. But I love ready salt. I love salt and vinegar. Prawn cocktail.
Worcester sauce.
I'll have them very
Oh, Worcester
partial to
sauce.
Worcester sauce.
They're
yeah.
not as strong as they used to be, though.
No,
The
they're not.
flavouring's not.
Well, I think the Seabrooks were always like one of the strongest. It was one of them you can get out the garage at the top of the lane, but you couldn't get them anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
one of them.
But they weren't
And were always
Brannigan's,
the
Dan.
strongest.
They weren't
They weren't
Brannigan's.
Brannigan's.
Remember
Seabrooks,
Brannigan's?
Seabrooks, when I was a kid, my nan and granddad used to have a caravan near Thirsk, North Yorkshire. Used to spend loads of weekends and summer holidays there. And the pub that we always used to go to had a lovely beer garden, and they sold Seabrooks crisps in there, with it being a Yorkshire thing. And I can't remember us being able to get them up here.
No, you couldn't. It took. That was ages. I mean, it was one of the last
So
10 years. You
I'm
see
talking
Seabrooks
like
coming.
late 70s here,
Yeah.
early 80s.
Yeah.
So it was a caravan treat getting Seabrooks crisps. But they're now owned by a Japanese company
Yeah.
that are part of PepsiCo,
Yeah.
Are they really?
which is
It's nuts.
It's heartbreaking.
That's
isn't
not
it?
nuts.
It's
It's crisps. Like, you know?
Well, hey,
Yes, got that one in.
And I would
Loved
have
it.
just have snack-based puns.
I kind of think of any flavour of crisps.
Snack-based puns.
I kind of think of any flavour of crisps I would turn my nose up at.
Really?
I tell you what, you don't see them very often. Though. Pickled onion. Apart from you
Lucy
see the
Lou
monster
Monster
ones,
Munch.
we used to get them
Yeah.
in Tudor with pickled onion, weren't
Well,
they?
it's always one of them unique ones. Pickled onion, then spring onion used to pop up now
Yeah.
and again. It was always better than a cheese because
Yeah.
it's like a milder flavour.
Although there are the Walkers will do the limited edition ones, usually at Christmas or when they're running an ad campaign, and they're always underwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, they'll do something like beans on toast or something like that, or something a bit
You can't
quirky.
carry those flavours, man. It
you
doesn't
just-
work.
Tomato sauce
Tomato,
flavour, isn't it?
tomato sauce flavour are really good.
Yeah, well, that's a Tudor
Acidic
one,
and
isn't it?
yeah.
Acidic,
But you take my because you remember, was it? Smith's bought Tudor, didn't they? Smith's crisps, remember them? They used to get the salt and shake.
Salt and
remember
shake
them?
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still
but
around,
all
aren't
that,
they?
yeah. Aye,
They
but-
never ever ever covered the crisps enough
No,
for
I
salt.
was always at the bottom.
So I
Well,
used to
this-
get
this is-
like a little, little things that sacks
Stick
of
your own
salt in
sauce,
your
you
pocket
get
and that.
You've got your saucings in your pocket. and-
This is how
you know,
bland my tastes are. I never used to put salt in. I just have them
Just as a potato.
unsalted.
love it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So,
So that's
top three.
crisps.
So we've done crisps. So what was your
Then
top three again? You ready salted?
Oh,
And
just
then
anything.
You salt and vinegar, and then
yeah.
what was number three? Possibly
Well, we'll go prawn cocktail.
prawn cocktail. Lovely. All
I used to
right,
have terrible habits of crisps. Like I used to just, it's really why I gained so much weight when I was a kid. Just crush them in the bottom of the bag.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
drink
straight
them
down
like
and
powder.
Drink them out the
Yeah.
bag.
Friday after school, you'd be like through three packets in about 2 minutes.
And shotgun and
Easy.
tip top or something.
Aye, that's it.
Crush them right down and put them in a line and snort them.
Nice as a sandwich as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, bar related games.
We've got curry versus gravy here.
Aye. This is a chip based question.
Yes.
What you going for?
I'll go gravy.
Are you a curry man or not?
I like curry.
But gravy
I'll go gravy.
and
You're talking that thick tar like gravy.
thick
Yeah.
tar like chip
Yeah,
shop
from
gravy.
Chinese.
Ah, yes.
Chinese
like, 'cause
gravy's
that's-
just-
it's more so. Are you going
Carton of chips and gravy.
All right,
Do you
so
remember-
you're going Chinese chips, not chip shop chips, because they're different kind of chips, them. Because they get like crispy, gnarly kind of chip.
Chinese chips.
Chinese chips.
Generally, if I'm getting chip shop chips, I won't have curry or gravy with them.
Would you not?
No.
I'm going to ask this question now because I think you're the only person that might remember, and it often comes up on a Sunderland message board. Do you remember the cowboy snack?
Cowboy supper.
Cowboy supper?
Cowboy supper.
Yeah.
You
I mentioned this
that.
to
Yeah,
you.
I didn't
Yeah.
know what you were
Do you remember what was in it?
No.
Because I remember going to Roker Park and there was a little place on the corner. We used to ditch the car there,
Yeah.
walk around, and there was queues of people. And it was, I'm sure it was like a battered burger
I cannot
and a
remember.
sausage and beans and gravy and
There
chips.
was one or two chippies around that used to do the cowboy supper, and I can't remember because it was always too much.
It was a lot of
As a
food.
child, there was a lot in it. Yeah.
But I've tried my best. I've went onto the message board. I've Googled it. I've looked, and there's about 3 references. Really hard to find.
Yeah. Do you remember the beanie?
Do you know what? Genuinely, I was in Crete on holiday last year, right, with the kids, and I don't know what it was. I was sitting, we went to get some food somewhere, and my brain just remembered a beanie.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down
Yeah.
to
Sausage
try and
meat
come.
with beans,
With bean. Do you remember them?
deep fried in butter.
They were incredible.
I know.
Sausage, yeah, like a fish cake, but with sausage meat and beans.
I thought they might come back when we left the EU. But
Well, I wrote it down,
that's
so I
why
want
I
to make
voted
them.
leave. I had a
Oh,
inkling-
look at that, like,
I had an
bring
inkling
back
that the
bring
beanie
back
might
the
come back.
beanie.
Aye, I'd say were you flagging the street?
Yeah. Nothing to do with
Be
anything
British,
else.
bring back the beanie.
Yeah.
It's all the praise.
Oh, honestly, if they ran the campaign on that, it would have been 80-20.
I'm surprised you not had that. That was like a mainstay.
They disappeared quite quickly, and everyone just forgot about them.
It was nudged out by the Smoky.
I think maybe it's the deep fried Mars bar and stuff like that. Maybe came along and it was a bit more exotic, and the beanie got ditched, or probably cheaper to produce.
Probably a lot of sausage meat in a beanie.
That's
Like,
great.
I'm going to make one
Mars
this
bars
weekend.
is
Do you know what it
wrong,
is?
isn't
I am. I'm going to make one this weekend.
Should do that.
Do it.
Should just do different things. Just pop something in. Just find something in the fridge and see if it works.
Have a word with Cy King round the corner. It's spot on for his
beanie.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right, so you got Chinese chips, you've got gravy on that. Are you doing salt and vinegar on that? Because you're not getting scraps in a Chinese.
Not what?
No, I'm not.
I would.
No, I wouldn't have salt and vinegar. I would just have chips and
next
gravy.
door.
Chips and gravy in a carton.
Chips and gravy in a
mixed
carton.
together.
Aye.
Chinese. Yeah.
All right, lovely. Okay.
And then we've got
perfect.
Savoy.
Savoy is a Savoy dip question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you go into Dixon's, Savoy or a pork dip. That's kind of. Have you had a Savoy? Do you like a
I've had
Savoy?
a Savoy many times over the years. Yeah, I've enjoyed a Savoy dip.
Are you having everything on?
When I worked at Old Price in the galleries, there was a Dixon's around the corner.
Yeah.
And I used to get the Savoy dip for me dinner quite regularly. Some would say too regularly.
Well, right.
Yeah, I'll have a Savoy dip. I'll have a pork dip. Yeah.
Aye.
I'll have any kind of dip. Beef,
Yeah.
turkey, whatever.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm pro dip.
Yeah,
dip.
beef dip.
Aye, straight
Can't
in.
beat that. Like,
Because some people don't like the stuffing, some people don't like the paste pudding, but it was everything on.
They're
wasn't it?
optional.
Everything was
They're
on,
optional.
you know what I mean?
You
So,
can.
yeah.
I'm not that fussed on the paste pudding, or the stuffing, but gravy in the meat in a bun. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
go on, Tim. Come on.
You've said it several times today. Both. What's a dip?
What?
I'm from the north of the.
When you get the
town.
slices of meat,
Right.
beef or pork or whatever, and they're in a bun, and then they'll dip the top half of the bun in the gravy and put it on.
Yeah.
So it's
And
a
you can have-
very
It's like a
soggy
wet,
sandwich.
Soggy sandwich, but
But it's a
it
mix.
just holds together
You've got to
enough.
go all in, haven't you?
And you,
There's-
and you paper wrapping to kind of get it down you. Do you know what I mean? It still holds.
There's a fantastic van next to the Love Supreme offices outside the Stadium of Light on match days. I think they're called the Roast Meat Company or something. It's
Yeah.
a black van.
I've seen them before.
They are so good.
Yeah.
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 The dips they do are brilliant.
I look for sponsorship there, Andy. Is that what you're looking for, huh?
If they're watching, I'll walk past next time and just linger and just kind of look. And if you recognise us and want to say, "Hey, Andy, do you want a free pork dip?" then I'll say yes.
I'm slightly taken aback by your comment, Tim. Right, you're from
Oh, hey,
north
listen.
of the water, right? You should still know what a dipped sandwich is.
Right. Okay. So, chips and gravy. When he said gravy, immediately gravy.
Yeah.
Everyone else has wondered about it.
I like the Chinese chip option. I like that though. It's
I do like
different.
that.
It's a different thing.
I do like that.
Not just chips.
But what we would have is chip stoddy,
Yeah.
where the gravy was just like in the chips,
Oh, yeah. I like that as
which
well.
sounds like a dip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the
That's
stuff.
what-
Yeah.
Because the stuff you can handle it.
But it's
You're
in
not
it.
thinking about
Inside,
Good Martin campaign
escaping
for a study.
like a cream cake oozing out. That's the gravy,
Yeah.
but it's not on the outside.
No,
Are you insane?
it's on the fence. It's
Oh,
all
it's
right.
not on the outside. The dip. It's the inner part of the bun
Yeah.
that gets dipped
You
into
dip
the
the
gravy.
inside of the bun and you put
I
it
meant
on.
to say
Oh,
that.
the outside.
Sorry,
I
explain it
just
wrong.
thought the top half. I was
No.
like half
Yeah.
a
No,
burger
it's
just
the
dipped
Your
into
bun's
gravy.
cut in half and they'll dip it into
Aye.
the gravy,
But
and then
there's-
it goes on top of your
Aye.
meat.
Like
Aye.
the
Aye, but there's a lot of bleeding on the edges coming on there, so you got to get
Yeah.
it down quick, you know, because it
It's
does
similar.
go so fast.
Yeah.
yeah.
but without dipping, it's just pour. It's pour
Yeah.
or dip.
Yeah.
That's another question.
Many times I've gone to the match and I've been sat there with just gravy all over my fingers, and I'm just slowly licking my fingers as I'm
All
watching
the
the
filth
Aye,
from this.
just on that question there, have you ever licked a plate clean?
Oh, yeah, maybe it's once or twice.
Lots of people have said they do it with a finger, but they've never actually licked the plate clean, but they'll do it with a finger, but it's doing it in public, and then you
Nah.
shamed yourself, didn't you?
You've
done it
licked
in
the plate
public.
clean.
In public.
Yeah.
What was on the plate?
Well, it wasn't on the
Does it matter?
No, by the end of
I
it.
don't even remember.
But you dropped your head.
I've got multiple shames like that. But it was when you were the kids and you're in the zone and you almost become completely detached from the public.
Right.
So there's
'Cause you look
just
after
us
two
four at the
kids.
table, aye.
Yeah.
You imagine all of a sudden I just
You
pick it up.
revert to a childlike state
Usually if
yourself.
I had,
and-
no, I think the one I was taught was when I had mussels in Coleman's. There was all the juice left in the bowl. And I just picked it up,
Drank
drink it
it.
all up, man.
Drank the juice.
Why
in the
not?
bowl, but that's
Paid for that
might be
bit.
acceptable because that's almost
Yeah.
like a soup. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's acceptable. Actually, licking the plate itself seems a bit wrong.
Well, we're going to be here all day. But let's go. Greg's order, please. What's your Greg's order there, Andy?
Corned beef pasty.
Corned beef?
Corned beef
Has
pasty.
it always been a corned beef?
For as long as I can kind of remember, I think corned beef pasty. Yeah.
Anything else?
Or back up would be a steak bake
Back up.
if they haven't got any corned beef pasties.
You're a
Or
sausage,
if there's one left and you assume it's going to be cold.
sausage roll man? or not?
Yeah, I'm not that massively fussed. I don't think Greg's do the best sausage rolls. That might be controversial, but
We regard the sausage roll as like the travel food. So you buy your corned beef and then you go, and can I have a sausage roll? And you're eating the thing on the way to the place you're going to eat the corned beef pasty in. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's
I
a
don't,
travel food.
I don't think they're the best. Milligans do good sausage rolls.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's it called? Couplands?
Couplands, yeah.
Yes, sausage
aye,
rolls are good.
aye.
Greg's are definitely not world class.
Can you remember Peter's?
Peters, where was that again?
Back in the day, Horton we had a Peter's because we always used to, they had round corned beefs and they were always better. and they had the small sausage rolls. They weren't the long ones.
I love a small sausage roll.
Aye,
Yeah.
because just
Much
enough.
better.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To add on.
Okay.
What you having to drink with this corned beef? Or you just going corned beef on its
I'm
own?
the kind of man who likes value for money. I love a bargain, and I'll always get myself a coffee because they do the savoury plus coffee deal
Okay.
for like £3.50 or something.
Okay.
And by the time I've finished the corned beef pasty, the coffee will be like drinkable temperature. So
So you're going hot and hot, yeah?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, why not?
Is that, are you all right with that? He's got a problem with hot and hot.
And if we're hot, it's having the hot thing. I need a cold drink. I can't have a hot thing with a cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you don't have Sunday dinner and then you got a scan hot cup of tea
Yeah,
next to you.
I don't need a
You're not
drink to
bothered.
go along with a pasty.
I
for
can't eat
crying out
anything
loud.
without drinking.
It's only a pasty. It's not a full meal.
Aye.
Is your Greg's order the same as it would have been 20 years ago?
Apart from the coffee.
Yeah.
It's only a recent development when they brought the offer in. I reckon it probably will have been. Greg's used to do back when I used to work at Our Price again. Greg's used to do some fantastic stotty sandwiches,
Wheat,
Yeah.
ham piece pudding,
like
cheese savoury.
triangular,
Oh,
big things.
Triangular ham
Yeah.
and peas pudding.
Ham and peas pudding
But
was one of them.
The amount of butter that's on though, because it's got to have the salty
yeah.
butter to cut
Yeah.
through.
The
peas
ham
pudding.
salad,
Aye.
Yeah,
which I think might have had mayonnaise on it,
yeah.
Cheese savoury.
and they did the cheese, and they did egg, mayonnaise, and bacon.
Yeah.
So it was an egg mayonnaise filling.
was all
with
seasoned
two
properly as well, by
slices
the way.
of bacon.
You know what he's talking about? Egg mayonnaise, you're like, aye. And then you go bacon, you go, aye.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's always that you prove nod with the bacon in. It just puts it up that other level.
It's safeguard.
almost like you're on the level
Also,
of-
it
as
safeguards
a
like a
BLT,
seasoning,
innit?
and if it's egg mayonnaise and they haven't seasoned it properly, chuck the bacon in and sort of.
Got that salt.
Yeah.
And it's
Plus you've got
nice.
that crisp and crunch on
It's nice that Greg's have widened their offer, and it's nice that they do little pots of carrots and cucumber and all that shit. But for God's sake, just bring back the egg
Bring back the
mayonnaise
ham
and bacon
piece,
stotty.
Stotty.
Bring back the
For
basics.
God's sake,
Bring back the
You know,
beanie.
get
Oh,
back
I
to your
didn't do
roots.
beanies.
get back to what made you great in the first place.
Just Andy drop kicking oat milk up
Bring
the door.
back the beanie.
Lovely.
So,
Right. Have you got to get away? You want to
I
do
have,
another one?
unfortunately, but hey, I'll come back and do part two if you want us to
Would
do
love
it
you
some
to.
point.
Would love you
Honestly,
to.
this is fun.
It's
There's
been
lots
great.
to talk about, man. So,
Appreciate it.
brilliant.
Thanks, Andy.
well, thanks
I'll
very
place
much.
that back there.
Brilliant.
Will
yeah.
it be the same menu next time?
We don't know
Possibly.
yet. It might
You
change.
might mix
Well,
it
might
up.
change.
Mix it
Yeah,
up.
That's all right.
Everyone keeps going for the top ones.
We've only
but,
went for There's loads that we haven't covered. Last meal, Heather Mills.
Heather
we did
Mills.
Heather Mills.
We went
couple of weeks
ketchup
ago.
with Heather Mills and Popman because the Alpine Popman used to come around
Oh,
where we
don't
were.
get us started.
Aye.
Do you remember? Do you remember?
Aye. It's the only time you had pop though, wasn't it? When
was.
the Popman came
It was, yeah. And if it got to like the day before he was due to come and you'd ran out, what did you have? Certainly never drank water.
That's it. Yeah.
What? I didn't know water.
Yeah,
I was
water
33,
bottles in
man.
that.
You had to have water
Honestly,
in your school dinners out of a metal jug,
Yeah.
and you hated it,
Yeah.
because it was room temperature. But,
Same as the milk.
yeah. I'll come back another
Oh,
time and we'll
lovely.
talk
Thanks, Andy.
about
Appreciate
the
that.
olden days again.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks
Cheers,
for having
Andy.
us.
Lovely
Cheers.
stuff. Thank you.
Right, okay.
Quick Polaroid and then we'll let you go.